Film Appreciation Podcast. I am Nick, and I am joined by my co-hosts Isaac and Marlon. This is, of course, our first episode of the podcast, and it's a pretty simple goal with this whole thing. We essentially just want to talk about movies, spread our love of cinema, and hopefully encourage people to discover new things, broaden their horizons, and maybe look at movies in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, that's about it, really. We're excited to get started, eh? Let's get into it, I guess.
And I should say as well that the structure of the podcast, more or less, is going to be, we're going to try and cover some movies that have just come out.
Yeah.
We're in Australia, so, you know.
We get everything very late.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to, cover whatever's new, and with the goal of not picking Marvel and, picking something normal.
Don't even know what
Like a
Marvel
bit
is at this
different.
point. So it's just so saturated.
It's so saturated. But and that's the point, is we want to try and show you guys some movies that are out at the moment that you could go see and support, because we want to try and make sure that all kinds of movies are getting supported, not just Disney, more or less. And then at the end of each episode, we will talk about a movie that one of us have picked. So, of course, you guys didn't know what we were doing this time. Because we're starting, but I picked a movie off camera, and so we'll talk about that at the end of the episode, although you guys reading the title will know what that movie is. And then at the end of this episode, Marlon will be picking something.
That's right.
Yep.
And Bowie after that.
And then it's just continuous cycle from there.
Continuous cycle.
Till the universe ends.
That's right.
That's right, exactly.
So anyway, I guess a good way for us to start today is with Aftersun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's one of the first of the two new movies that we're going to talk about today. Who wants to introduce Aftersun?
I guess Marlon. I feel like you got it.
I guess I will, yeah.
Okay.
So Aftersun was directed by Charlotte Wells, and it was actually her first feature-length film. And it stars Paul Mescal as Callum and Frankie Corio as Sophie in her acting debut.
Which
She
was
did a great
brilliant,
job.
yeah.
Really great job.
Callum as well, both the whole character
Paul,
developed.
It was kind of crazy because Paul Mescal got an Oscar nomination, even though the movie got no other acknowledgement.
He was brilliant,
I
though.
think he was very mature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk a lot about him and his character. For me, that was kind of what made the movie.
I agree. Yeah.
You know.
I think for me personally, it was just so emotionally driven, and you don't really get to see that in a film. Something about a young dad. It's always a young mum and just that new representation. Yeah. And I think Paul did just an amazing job off the bat.
Yeah, yeah.
And I found that just really interesting that because we're in an age of a lot of female directors bringing a lot of feminine power to movies, and yet Charlotte Wells started her movie career off by making a movie about fathers.
Yeah.
And fatherhood.
And it's a very personal movie to her, apparently, in terms of her childhood and her relationship with her father.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you can look at it, it's a very personal film that has beautiful messages, I guess. You can't really say anything else.
We're going to break it down, for sure.
Look, there's so many different themes. Obviously, you got the themes that are main to Paul, which is the depression and the struggle of early fatherhood, or feeling like you've come into being a parent too early. But then on the flip side, you've got Sophie and the themes associated with her coming of age.
Yeah.
And I
thought I just thought the coming of age, the little moments of the coming of age story for Sophie were done so well. I remember being really young and going on holidays and talking to strangers or whatever, because your parents
especially older people.
They didn't want to deal with it at the time. And I love that scene where you remember that the kid on the bike. That she was
What's his name? I don't even know.
No.
He introduces himself.
Yeah, but they ride the bike arcade machine or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they did that, they kissed. And I thought that was so simple yet so well done. Insanely well done.
Yeah.
Just saying I like you too. I remember that in primary school, that kind of embarrassing type thing.
Of course, the one thing to me that stood out was everything just felt so realistic. And I think that's where coming the simplicity of the characters in their interactions. It felt like you were a part of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think one thing that helped with that was the home style recording.
It's definitely non-traditional filmmaking.
Yeah, but it
for
was
sure.
that camera that Callum and Sophie brought around with them. made me feel like
Especially,
I was a part
I
of it.
think, and then when you intertwine that with like, obviously because it's her memory,
Yeah.
you get that amazing feeling of like sort of like how different reality might be to what she was like as a kid, and now you're getting her new outlook as a 30-year-old now.
Yeah, like a fully grown adult.
Yeah. And I and that this may be a hot take or something, but I personally I really liked the movie, but for me I actually didn't like the flash forwards. I kind of thought it was
really?
a little unnecessary.
Yeah, they kind of come at times when you're not even expecting it, maybe either.
Because the thing is I liked it was so simple, the whole movie.
Yeah.
So simple, and especially the Callum's character, his depression or whatever was so. It was shown.
And it's almost it's almost like underplayed, where it's like you see for example when the goggles go down, in the ocean, and it's sort of like
scuba diving.
It's not like he's openly like, oh, I'm so sad.
Yeah, and
it's
how,
just so
how he delivered those lines, when he said, "Oh, I can't believe I've even made it to 30.
Yeah,
there's no way I'm making it to 40."
Mm.
I remember sitting there in the theater going, "What the?"
Yeah.
Mm.
And look, I'd imagine it would be very different watching it in a theatre to at home on my laptop.
Oh,
and distractions and all.
Yeah.
But just, I felt like I was with them on their holiday for much of the film.
I will say that at times it did lose me. I won't
agree.
say I don't know necessarily why, but I definitely think there were times where
I think just for me, it took me a while to get into it, and then
I agree with that too.
Was really into it, and then it lost me again at the end.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to kind of address the flash forwards kind of thing.
That lost you?
It kind of lost me.
Yeah,
because I was watching it and I was super into the story and their emotions, whatever. And then every now and then they'd cut to this I guess it was a party or something. And I had no idea what I was looking at. And I was like, what is this?
So
what was that?
Initially, I thought it was Paul having a flashback to his partner. So Sophie's mum. That's what I first thought it was.
But the older actress of Sophie is the one.
Yeah, it's actually the older actress of Sophie.
Yeah.
So she's meeting him on a dance floor from his past, is how I interpret it.
Yeah, it's some sort of I don't know. It's like her meeting him in sort of her memory of him.
Yeah, because obviously, we don't know how or what happened, but at the end of it, Paul is no longer a part of her life.
Yeah.
That's very much, I think, a fact we can agree on.
And what did we actually interpret? You see in the flash forwards, you see not the endings per se. I do want to talk about the ending because the ending, the very end, is very art house.
I loved it.
But
we'll get onto that.
But you see the whole scene throughout the movie, and she's trying to. From what I saw, I was she's trying to approach him at a party or something along those lines, like a disco.
Yeah.
And then you see she grabs him, and then he falls. You see him kind of go backwards a bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's happening? What is that? And then, of course, at the very end, he leaves her at the airport and walks back.
Yeah. That was...
And I was going into the
Maybe,
party.
I think
I was going,
it
what
might
does
have
that
been,
mean?
perhaps it was the last time they ever saw each other.
At the airport.
Well, yeah,
I think that would be the case.
Yeah, so it's sort of
And that was the thing. I was thinking, maybe, because clearly the flash forwards had this sort of aura of doom and gloom.
Yeah.
I think they're sort of to show now that she's where her father was, she's sort of experienced the same sort of darker side to life.
Yeah. It's it's bringing this it's very foreboding, and then
it's intense, isn't it?
Yeah, it's intense, and you're kind of you're sitting there and you're like, what is happening? And you don't. I didn't want to keep seeing those scenes, partially because I didn't really know what was happening.
Yeah.
But kind of because it was intense, and I was enjoying more of the loving,
I get
the
you.
loving kind of moments.
Yeah.
And then that's why the ending, I was kind of like, damn, that is dark, because he walked back and then he opens and you see it was very subtle, but you saw the party-esque thing, and I went, oh my god, that's the next time maybe they saw each other. And
Yeah. Well, he was still fighting his demons till the end. You can just tell.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I really liked was the nighttime waves scene. So where Sophie's out and about, and you see Callum walk to the beach
Into the darkness.
and the score, the waves, they just slowly get louder and louder, and it just ended up swelling into this huge, loud, thumping wave sound. And I was like, if that isn't a representation of the overwhelming feeling of sadness and depression and that you're not good enough, which is what Callum's feeling for the majority of the film. Like, I don't know what is. I just loved it.
But that's why I just thought it was so, like, interestingly written, because it was so understated. There was never, like, a scene, really, where Sophie and Callum had some sort of big, dramatic argument.
Well, I think there was the other thing as well. Yeah, they were very, like, a loving relationship.
Close,
Yeah. I think there's even a part in the movie where they sort of, like, make fun of, like, a kid having, like, a tantrum or something. I can't remember if that happens, though. That could
I
be
remember
imagined.
they, like, threw shit at the people doing the, I was like, Elvis Presley.
And then they
or
were,
something,
yeah,
just
and
threw
then
shit.
Well, the one thing I noticed as well, not noticed, but on the topic of them being so close, is people asking them, like, how old's your younger sister? That's how close their bond was. That other
how they
people
acted
thought they
together
were
too.
siblings.
Yeah.
Which
I think as well it also shows how young he is,
but
especially
it's also
when he had
testament to how well he's done.
Yeah.
If outside people.
Well, the thing is, he's
going,
despite all his mental health problems, he's a very good father.
yeah, it's just so sad that he doesn't
Yeah,
see it
I
like
think
we do from the outside.
I think in the end, though, like you see, like his mental health is ultimately gonna stop him from being the father he wants to be.
Yeah.
Because, for example, like he encourages Sophie to be very open with him, like, oh, tell me what drugs you do, tell me all this stuff. But he won't do the same with her.
That was my favorite scene, and I wrote it here, like that scene where, and I wasn't like the style of using the video camera or whatever. I thought that was interesting, but I didn't like it. Didn't hold any sort of emotional resonance. I didn't think it was like interestingly done until she asks him, "Oh, what were you doing at 11?"
Yeah.
And he talks about, like, he gets her to turn it off, and then you see it, like, the scene in a reflection of the TV. And he's talking about how when he was 11, his mum, like, his parents forgot his birthday.
Yeah,
And he told his mum it's my birthday, and she got angry, and maybe she hit him. I don't exactly remember, like, or something. And then took him angrily to the toy store.
Yeah.
And I thought that was such a powerful thing.
Could you imagine?
I was so like.
Could you imagine having that experience though?
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
it would
like, as a
be
kid.
heartbreaking.
Yeah. I mean, it shows you, I guess, that it doesn't just start like out of nowhere having mental health problems. It's sort of something that's
That's what made
yeah,
it. That's why I was so like Callum was by far my favorite character, and I so sympathized with him because he was doing a good job as a dad, even though he had so much shit wrong with him. Clearly, depression, and they talk about a lot, and there's a lot of scenes of like his financial troubles and whatever.
Yeah.
Yet he's still doing his best. And I think he's doing his best because of that scene where he's talking about how clearly shitty his parents were to him.
Yeah, he doesn't want his daughter to feel that way.
Which often is the like opposite that happens.
Yeah, but I think on that scene, it like really warmed my heart afterwards when Sophie wished him a happy birthday bright and early on his actual birthday.
Yeah.
Like just knowing that he's had those past conflicts with this day and seeing his daughter obviously understand that at 11 and, you know, wish him a happy birthday. It was just so fulfilling to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And it made me like look at my family a little bit. And I don't know, just in a general sense, I've got along a lot better with them after watching, you know, just how other families interact and how people think.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually one of the big messages of the movie is the fact that like, because when you're a kid, you know, you kind of from my experience, I kind of idolized my parents. I thought they were absolutely like perfect superhero kind of people.
I think that's like a very normal thing.
You know?
Yeah,
and I think part of maturity is realizing not that your parents are bad or anything, but understanding that they are
human.
flawed and they have their own problems. And
Yeah.
like when you're a kid, your parents never like talk to you about their problems, which is exactly what you see in the movie.
Yeah, well, again, it's like you don't even know they have
They
problems.
so care about
But
what's
then
wrong
again,
with you.
And then, but the thing is, like, Sophie sort of like, with the goggles thing again, she's like, oh, like, I know you have problems with money or whatever. Like, she wants to be a part of his life as well. And he's sort of still, like, shuts her down, you know.
Well,
She's
I think
just a
it's,
kid, you know?
I think for her, I mean, she's at that point, like, she is 11,
Sort
so
of
she'd be getting
becoming a conscious human being.
Post puberty, like, getting to that age, you know, where
Yeah.
she's starting to understand her own emotions and whatever. And, like, although he does his best, I think it was pretty, like, unescapable how upset he was.
Yeah.
And he's got like no money, no friends, and like his whole world is her, which, you know.
Well, it's pretty full on having a kid and losing a partner in terms of a breakup, or by the time you're on, what is he? Early
31?
31.
Yeah, they said he'd like just got into his 30s.
Yeah, so early 30s. That's like, I don't know any statistics, but that sounds like it wouldn't happen that much.
I don't know.
And yeah, it was just, there were so many little things that made this film, like just there were so many scene establishing shots, like setting establishing shots, where it was just a long, slow take of
A lot of like
pretty much.
They had a lot of shots with like the sky and like the water, which I think they both definitely have got to be major symbols in the movie. I think it's interesting the way they shoot the water when you're looking from the perspective of Sophie is a lot brighter. It's a lot more optimistic almost.
That's the thing, like the use of perspective in the movie, I thought was done so well.
Yeah.
And like there's so many scenes, like especially when they're in the room.
Yeah.
And like there was that scene where he was like next door and something was going on with his cast, like he tried to get it off and it was bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
That's such a good shot where it's like
yeah. And she couldn't, but like you as the audience are Sophie, because you can't really tell what he's doing, because when they show him like only in the shot, it's like super zoomed in and you can't really see what's going on. And it was so interesting, like the way she did it. I mean,
they used mirrors a fair bit too in the room.
Yeah.
To sort of show that angle of like, well, this is going on for Sophie. This is what Sophie's seeing. But then you can in the background see what's happening with Callum, and it's him having a break, trying to recollect himself, because you know he's trying so hard and still feeling worthless. And it was upsetting. It really was to watch.
What did you guys think of like symbol or whatever it kind of meant to the story about the carpet? Because you know how he went to the store and it was like, oh, you can't buy this, it's way too expensive, and she like told him you have money problems, and then he went back there. Is it a
symbol of his just maybe his love for her, and how that almost is actually continuing his mental health problems?
Yeah,
because he's neglecting that, and you know focusing on her.
Yeah.
Her happiness.
Well, it's clearly like
maybe it's almost a comment on parenting as a whole, where like when you become a parent, the kid becomes your life.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
sort of
that's kind of the tragedy of his character. Is the more he tries to help her, the worse
he gets
becomes.
himself. Yeah.
You know, obviously Persian rugs are supposed to like tell a story.
Well, that's what they did say.
Yeah. What do you reckon that rug specifically even is? Because I wonder if they actually went in the movie with that, like having that developed and fleshed out.
Well, like you see the rug, and the rug is kind of like this dark, like it was black in the middle, and it almost took the shape of a person, because you see that scene where he lies down and he's like got the rug surrounding him, and then on the outside you get kind of a variety of different colors. And I was kind of thinking like when he laid down, I was like, that's almost him, and he's kind of got this.
That's a good interpretation.
He's in a void almost, and then beside him is everything else.
Yeah,
and I'm pretty sure the colors actually got brighter the further away it went from the center of the carpet, which is
I can't remember it enough.
Makes sense. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I did see it like I don't know, less than a week ago.
Yeah, I watched it 2 or 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember what
if that's your interpretation, that does tie in with the nightclub scene again. The flash forward, I think we've established it is to with Sophie, like just the darkness, the overwhelming, consuming feeling he's getting. If that's your take on the rug and its symbolism, I think there's so many other little times we can see that, and that's how he's feeling. It's the wave scene again, the nightclub. It's all just this dark nothingness, and it's just an articulation of his state of mind, unfortunately.
And I think it's interesting to think about the movie, like if you've got like if because Charlotte Wells or whatever said that it's a personal film to her, and you could probably assume that Sophie is her in a way, like.
Yeah, I wonder how she approached it.
That must be kind of what she's thinking.
Or maybe at least to some degree, yeah.
And I would say the movie is from Sophie's perspective, and like
it has
to be like with the ending and stuff.
Yeah, but it has that coming of age element, but yet I feel like the actual point of the movie is Callum. It's not Sophie. I feel like the meat of the film,
messages behind it.
What you're supposed to take from it is more a thing about parenting, not about being a kid.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, maybe it ties in a bit as well, though. Like sort of when you're a kid, sort of thinking about how when you're a kid, your perspective on your parents and their problems is going to be different to when you've actually matured and you understand them.
And you might have experienced.
So it's sort of as well, I think, looking. It's sort of what's the word? I guess nostalgic in a way for like her child. Yeah. But yeah, I think that idea is also in there, but definitely as well about.
But that's why I wasn't hot on the flash forwards, because I didn't take anything from her.
You just didn't really think they were necessary to get the message.
Like, I understood maybe the idea that the movie's about like how you would view your parents or your life as a kid versus being an adult, and that's clearly like you see that she's sitting there and watching the tapes at the end or whatever. But like she doesn't say anything. You don't get anything from her. And then you have that nightclub scene in the future with her dad and whatever, where he falls, but I found that too vague. I didn't really understand what they were supposed to, like what I was supposed to get from it.
See, I wonder though if she's sort of gone on with the idea of I'm going to make it vague on purpose and be one of the, or if it was just. But I thought it was too vague. Again, I mean, it's her first film. Maybe we'll give her the benefit of the doubt.
And it from just my personal, like I liked the movie and stuff. But I feel like either you make the whole movie with no flash forwards, and you can just kind of have this experience, because you still understand that the kid, like Sophie, understood that her dad isn't as good or as like well as she thinks he is. Or you have the flash forwards as well, but we need a bit more time with older Sophie so we can understand.
Like what she actually thinks.
Because I kind of like.
I wonder if that was ever in the script at any point.
It would be interesting. I feel like there probably would be different versions. Because, as I said, I kind of took me a while to get into it because it is like a non-traditional style. But then I was into it and I was wrapped up in all the emotions. And then the ending left me really cold. And I didn't really think. Like, I know that some reviews I've read, like, they cried at the end. I was like, cold.
What a shame.
For me, though, I think...
I just didn't... It just didn't
even
work.
I don't think the movie necessarily emotionally connected to me at all, really, throughout it. But I still felt like I could understand, But that's why, even for me, like, the ending didn't hit, like... But I still thought,
I felt like it was, like, for the emotion to hit, it shouldn't have taken any sort of art house approach. It kind of needed to be a bit more straightforward. And
unless you're like David Lynch, trying to pull out like the unconscious into it or some shit.
Like, you can't really do that. 95% of the movie is super normal.
It's normal.
Like, just a normal movie, and then it's just got this like sprinkles of this art house thing, and I was like, why?
Well, maybe the flash forward, if it is in a nightclub, and if he does fall backwards, like, it could be that on the nose that the reason he's no longer in our life is because he died of a drug overdose or something like that.
I think it is implied that he committed suicide, but
so that's just.
So like then you can start getting into.
But even that's kind of ambiguous. I mean, I think it's pretty like it still leads you there. I think.
But then you just start getting into like, is that whole scene just a metaphor for her trying to reach out to him once she became an adult and like he died or whatever it was.
Lusting for something you can no longer have. So then you're replaying all the footage.
Well, lusting's a funny word to use when it's
a father and daughter.
No, I get it.
Yeah. When you want something so bad. And that's why she goes and reviews all the footage. It's because she misses him so much.
Yeah.
But then at the end
I wonder if it's like this is her reflecting and she hasn't reflected on it in a while, or if it's like a constant like.
I guess the other thing that confused me is obviously she has a daughter of her own or a child. Of her own. And is she a surrogate mother or an adopted child? Because doesn't she roll out of bed with another woman?
Yeah, she was a lesbian.
So it's just.
Or maybe she could have just been bisexual.
Yeah, exactly.
Had a kid when like she was like.
Had a kid with the kid on the bike.
It just shows.
Oh no. Yeah, they stayed together.
Their final destination.
She's secretly the villain. She's had an affair with the kid on the bike. That's like the whole movie. You're just supposed to sympathise with the kid on the bike.
The movie's secretly about him.
But I guess that sort of tied in with me being a little confused at the end. It was like, well, okay, you've got this really conventional, but not really shown in cinema of a father-daughter relationship, and then you've got I wouldn't say unconventional, but the difference of the two same-sex parents, perhaps. But again, it's left so ambiguous. It's only shown once. You can't really make your mind up about what's going on.
That could have been another interesting thing if, like, they referenced how maybe Sophie also isn't a great mum. You know, she's kind of followed, like, she's also kind of messed up, like Callum was.
Yeah,
but again, they don't.
I agree with you that they just don't really.
It's just not enough. You know, like I was with it for a while, as I said, and I was getting what most of the movie's trying to say, but then the ending clearly had something else to say, and I was not, like, you could interpret it so many different ways.
Yeah, but you're just left confused.
Yeah, I was left kind of going, oh, that's it.
Yeah, for some movies I think it works where it's like so many interpretations, but I think for a movie like this where
it is on the nose,
it's sort of not trying to be anything too different.
I think it works when the movie is not telling a particularly emotional story. That's why, like, Lynch movies are so awesome, because they're not about any emotions or anything. It's just kind of stuff that you're seeing.
That's happening.
Like, you know, and it's interesting, but there's no sort of emotional, like, oh, you're really supposed to care about, you know, the main guy in a razor head. You're just kind of looking at him like, this guy's crazy. Like,
I mean, just throughout, like, the one thing for me, it didn't really wow me at all at any point. Like, nothing was, whoa, this is incredible.
I think except that scene I mentioned where he talked about his past.
Well, I've got one where
I would say it was a good scene, but I wouldn't say it was like, wow.
Yeah, see, but the thing is, I think
everything that encapsulates the movie as a whole isn't wow.
I think everything is good. I don't think there's much wrong at all.
That's the thing, because I tried to go in with no expectations. As
I had no idea what it was about.
I never watched a trailer. I didn't know anything about it, because I try not to do that anymore with movies. But I did know how much critics loved it. Like, so many critics that I said it was the best movie of the year of 2022, and I was kind of going like,
I mean, I can see.
Clearly, it must just hit people maybe more.
I think that's what it is.
Maybe if you're older as well, you know.
Oh, 100%. If you're a parent of,
I don't know how common the experience is either. So, like, if it's something that a lot of people can connect to, then obviously it's going to be emotional. But if you have no connection to it, it's sort of just like, this is a good movie, but it's whatever.
It's not amazing. It's not calling out to me.
Yeah.
But one thing that did, I guess, call out to me in the sense is, like, all the times I've seen my parents upset, it just makes me more grateful to have them in my life.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like, makes me appreciate their presence.
Yeah.
And so that's the main thing I took out of it, is there's the message of keep going, if not for you, for others in your life. Something which Callum actively struggles with. It's like the only thing that's keeping him there is his daughter. Yeah. That's also, as you said earlier, pushing him further away. And then the other thing, and it's one scene I really want to talk about. I'm trying to figure out whether it was the very end or just before, but it's when Queen starts playing.
Oh, it was
great.
I
thought that was the best thing in the film for me.
Good.
Yeah, throughout the music was good. But this is our last dance. This is our last dance. This is ourselves.
The lyrics,
and Sophie loses Callum in that nightclub. I thought that was incredible.
Yeah, okay,
that was my favorite scene,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Is there what other lyrics do they have going?
I think that at the end that's the only part they sing.
Okay.
But it's very on the nose. This is it, right? And it was because it was like the dark ambient lighting. I love Queen as an artist, and it all mixed together. I was like, whoa. So that's the only really thing that stood out as amazing in the film. For you, it was what were you like when you were 11?
Yeah, I just thought that was so, like, I think it worked so well because it was so understated. And I remember I was watching it, and like that happened, I went, fuck, like that's rough. Like, and the reason why it's so rough is because it's not like, oh, you know, my dad flogged me with a belt or something. You know, something really extreme where you kind of go, oh wow. Yeah. But it was like emotional abuse. You know, like, it's the kid's birthday. I remember being like 10. I would be up at 2 a.m.
Yeah, you can't sleep when it's your birthday.
I'm getting presents. I'm getting cake. Yeah. You know.
Can't relate, Isaac.
No, I can.
Oh, yeah.
Can you imagine, like, oh, you get up and your parents are like, oh, it's your birthday, and they get angry at you for like saying to them, oh, it's my birthday. I just thought
especially
it was so good. Like,
at that age. When you get older, it's like,
sometimes you don't.
Birthday.
Yeah.
It's my birthday, but it's not like it's my fucking birthday.
Yeah. Like now, I look forward to my birthday. I'm like, oh yeah, you know.
Whereas when you're a kid, though, it's like
The
It's
be all
the
end all.
most
all you know.
important
There's
thing.
there's 2 days you were looking forward to:
Christmas
your birthday and Christmas.
Yeah, that's it.
And maybe Easter, because who doesn't love
Chocolate.
chocolate as a
Oh.
kid? But
Because
yeah.
when you're a kid, you can't get a job,
Mm.
and so you're like, I need presents.
And
I
these
need
are
this
the
stuff.
I
Because
need
once
this
you get
one.
older, if you
because
need
you're a
something,
consumer
you just
way
go
before
buy
you
it,
can even process it.
you know?
On the note of Easter, surely Hop 3 comes out soon.
Was there
Is
even
that a thing?
There wasn't
I
even a Hop 2.
I swear there's a Hop 2.
Oh, it's cap.
Nah, I'd love to watch another one of those films.
What are the good Easter movies even? Are there any good ones? I'm trying to think.
Because Easter is, coming up quite soon.
Yeah.
Easter.
Easter movies.
I remember. Do you remember that movie Rise of the Guardians?
Yeah.
It's got the Easter bunny in it.
Yeah.
I know that's not an Easter movie, but I just remember
Hang
that.
on. I'm trying to remember that. I feel like I know the name.
It's got like Jack Frost in
Oh,
it.
the animated.
Animated, yeah, I watched it recently with my brother.
With the Sandman. And
Yeah.
That was a childhood classic. I
Yeah,
love
it was a
that.
classic.
Yeah.
But just like,
I don't really think there are many Easter movies, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. There's obviously Hop, but
I loved Hop.
Well, see, I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not joking. I've never seen
Oh.
Hop. I saw the
We should
poster
do
when I
it.
was a kid, and I thought it looked like shit.
Well, when you watch it now, kind of. But
Yeah.
it's just,
And it's weird.
no,
it's
it's
like
a cinematic masterpiece.
I mean, it's just a strange thought that there's not many Easter movies.
no.
Well, I wonder what is there to really.
Yeah,
But it's
what
a huge
is it?
target audience, kids, and as we said, it's Christmas, birthday,
Like,
Easter.
what are you gonna
You
do?
do like the Easter Bunny steals Christmas.
Ooh.
That's the thing. Like, what are you gonna do in an
You're
Easter
entering
movie?
a different level of like cinema here.
Yeah, it's like a
multiverse.
It's a multiverse of holidays.
What are you gonna do in a movie about Easter? Oh, there's
That's what I'm saying.
it's Freddy. He wants to eat chocolate and he can't because he's lactose intolerant.
Or
It's
you-
like, what is
do?
that movie?
It's
Like,
some
Hey Christian,
some
if you're
hunter
listening.
comes and shoots the Easter Bunny, and then Easter's cancelled, and like you have to have some fill-in, you know.
that would be cool if the Easter Bunny got killed and you had to
Yeah.
like dress up as the Easter Bunny and finish it. Isn't that the plot of a movie? Like,
I don't
it's
know.
the Christmas movie. I swear to God, there's a movie where like
Oh, that's
Santa,
probably like every
Santa gets
movie.
killed.
No,
and you
there's
have to
so,
be
I
Santa.
reckon
That's-
there's so many. Of
Yeah,
those.
on
It's
another
such a-
note, Christmas movies are oversaturated.
Yeah,
We get a bit of love for
there's
Easter.
so many Christmas.
Yeah.
I reckon Easter
that's-
movie just do a Christmas movie, but Easter.
But that's the big
Exactly.
But that's the big thing though. Is like Christmas has themes of like family. What are the themes of Easter? Eat chocolate. There's no themes.
Because again, no
Unless you're-
unless you're religious.
Yeah, unless you're religious.
Yeah.
In which
Yeah.
case, if you want an Easter movie, watch Passion of the Christ. Like watch like
Yeah.
that's an Easter.
Or the
movie.
last tempt. Yeah.
Yeah, the Last Temptation
Yeah.
of Christ. Watch something like that. You know, that's your Easter movie. We were
Mm.
talking about Aftersun.
Yeah. Sorry, that was my fault. Went on a bit of a tangent there.
Should we go on? I reckon.
Yeah, well,
to
we'll
the
give our
next
ratings
film.
first.
Yeah. So, would you like to start, Nick?
Yeah, you go first.
I'm gonna give Aftersun a 7 out of 10.
I'm the same, so I'm giving it the same.
And I'm giving it an 8.
Oh.
So that's, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, as we said, it was solid.
yeah,
And it had a lot of great
Mhm.
moments, and there were just bits, you know, just undercut.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it
Yeah.
was if that main issue was fixed for me, it would have been like a 9. But
Yeah. I think I really struggled with placing it anywhere on that scale of a 7 to a 9.
Yeah.
And I think when you've got the sort of thoughts of both, I'm very happy with it sitting at an 8.
Yeah.
But I do disagree with that 8.6 average on Letterboxd.
Yeah, it's got
Wait,
a
what is
high,
it?
it's got a high
It's a
average.
4.3 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
high.
I think that
How many
was
people
a-
have watched it?
Follow our letterbox, guys.
Yeah, and
Oh, yeah.
our personal ones as
I
well.
don't even know what the ad is, but it'll
No.
be on like the YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
We'll put it in the link.
Yeah.
you
But
know.
yeah, I did look at that and I thought that is a little bit high at least.
Yeah, 4.3. It's like in the top 100.
That is
top
actually
100 of all
interesting.
time.
Yeah.
You know,
See, but the thing is, there's so many movies that get in there
And then
start
fall
and
off.
then they just
Yeah.
disappear.
well, you know, for like
Is Puss in Boots still in there?
dude, it's like 90.
Dude, I can't. That is
It's
so.
I need to see that.
That's,
That's
so
actually a
good.
really good movie.
I
It's
haven't
so good.
seen
That's
Puss in
like
Boots.
that is
Yeah.
exactly what a kids movie should be.
Yeah, definitely.
That movie was
Oh, yeah.
badass.
Alright,
There's
I'll
this
watch it. I'll watch
part like I'm not gonna spoil, but there's this wolf,
He's
and everyone knows this
badass
wolf.
character.
This
of all
wolf
time.
is like the Winter Soldier. He just shows up so randomly, and like he's
Yeah.
unstoppable. I won't spoil who he actually is
Yeah.
because like he
Okay.
is
Yeah.
a person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it's like
it's just
so
badass.
good.
It's so good.
And
It's
as
so
a kid-
funny too. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
it's great.
genuinely hilarious.
But
Awesome.
I'm a big defender of Puss in Boots 1. That's like one of the that
I have
for me
to.
is one of
I
my
have to
childhood
rewatch it
classics.
actually.
Yeah, I'm gonna rewatch that before I watch Puss in
Like,
Boots 2.
When I was a little kid, that was the coolest movie.
Mm.
Like I watched that more than Shrek. I know that's like controversial, but you know.
You're joking.
See, I
I'm
feel
not
like
sure.
I feel like you watch Shrek so much because it's just played at any like school.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we need
Mate,
a movie.
I've been to
Shrek.
I've been to parties
sick
and
of it.
Shrek's been on the TV.
Jesus.
Like, it is everywhere.
It's just
Shrek is
there.
everywhere.
Oh, God.
Shrek is what is it? Shrek is life. Shrek is what is that
Well, I
stupid
think they're
YouTube
doing
video?
Shrek 5.
Oh, my God.
And the only reason I think that is because Puss in Boots 2 did like insanely well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Surely they pick like what if they did like a donkey movie, bro?
Well, that's what Eddie Murphy said. It was bullshit that Puss in Boots has got movies and Donkey hasn't. Like,
Dude,
he
a
made
donkey
Sting-
movie would be so good. It's just like him on like just like a
Yeah.
journey.
Eddie's great. I gotta watch more of his movies.
Well,
There's a couple
speaking
I've got on
of-
my watch list.
Of DreamWorks, I know they're doing, like, it's confirmed Kung Fu Panda 3.
Oh,
Which
wait,
is
you mean
sorry,
four?
four.
Yeah.
4, and I'm so hyped for that.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda is actually like
Look,
The
Is
first
my
one is
childhood.
my go-to, like, don't know what to watch, I'm watching
no
Kung Fu
man,
Panda.
number 2. 3 fell off, number 2 is my favourite.
Yeah, 3 did fall off.
Three.
I didn't
So
like
hopefully
3.
4. You
Yeah.
can't go wrong with Jack Black.
you know
really.
what's
Yeah,
good
so
too?
good.
How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh, it slaps.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
So, and same, How to Train Dragon 2 slaps.
Yeah.
3, boring.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
so like, I
Yeah.
don't care.
It's
You know,
what happens.
they really fumble
It's
the
always the
third.
thirds. Yeah.
Madagascar,
Sequels are- no, sequels
Madagascar
are always
1 and
the
2
best.
slap, third one sucks.
3 was the
Sequels are
Europe
always
one,
the
right?
best, man.
Europe sucks. The
Except
third
for
one
Attack of the
sucks.
Clones.
I can.
But
Oh, and
Phantom Menace is like
and a lot of people
unwatchable.
Last Jedi.
Oh yeah,
Star
no,
Wars-
absolutely.
Those movies are just.
That's like a
All
whole.
over the
That could be a
shop.
whole episode. Just us
Maybe
talking
one
about
day,
Star
everybody.
Wars, the Star Wars special.
Star
It's
Wars,
just
bro.
like,
Jeez.
oh.
Anyway, we have gone a bit of a tangent here.
Oh,
Should we
okay,
get on
we
to
should. Let's move
Darren
on.
Aronofsky's The Whale?
The Whale.
Yes. So who introduced Aftersun? Marlon.
Yeah, I believe I did.
All right.
Do you want to?
I'll
introduce? Yeah, because I'll introduce.
You want to do? Okay. So The Whale. It was written and directed by Darren. No, it was just directed by Darren Aronofsky. It was
Okay.
written by the guy. It's based on a play, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
I'm
that
pretty sure
that was interesting actually.
Yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it's by him and this guy who did the play. I forget his name. And we got Brendan Fraser, which is like the big part of the
Mhm.
movie. Is he plays this obese man
Yeah.
called Charlie,
Mm-hmm.
and you also got Sadie Sink, who plays his daughter, and
Ellie, isn't it?
Ellie.
Ellie.
And I'm pretty sure her name is Hong Chow. I think. Did I
careful.
Did I get it wrong?
I don't know.
I think.
Just be careful.
If I swear, well, I heard
No
that
racism
name.
intended.
There
Yeah,
was no,
exactly.
no, seriously. I
Something like that.
swear I heard her name is like something like that.
Yeah.
She's been in a couple of films. What did we say she was?
She's in the menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, the menu. She's
Yeah.
in a-
I liked her
If
in the menu.
If I got
Yeah.
her name, I apologize. That is legit what I thought
Yeah.
it was.
I know this is another tangent, but did you like the menu?
No.
See, I liked the
I,
menu.
No,
I
I
liked
didn't.
it too. I did like
no,
it.
I didn't think it was bad. Actually, that's not true. It started and I was like, this is bad, and then it kind of won me over at the end.
I didn't think it was great.
But this is the thing though, is like
I don't know. I really enjoyed.
They
it. I don't
kinda-
think it was.
they went
again,
with this like
great.
horror, psychedelic kind of mood, because the whole movie is like this thing about the service
It
industry.
kind of gives like a really like tame Midsummer, like when they're like
Yeah.
walking
Yes.
and they're like, oh, you can't go in the house.
But
That's why
my-
chef lives.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I work in the service industry, so do you.
Yeah,
Like we all
I
do.
do not.
Well, you
oh,
don't.
partially.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But like
you're like a pseudo.
all the criticisms in that movie, I totally get. But then they present them in a really kind of, I think, dumb way.
See, this is the thing though.
I don't think it
I
was a
think
good criticism.
so many movies these days are like their criticisms are not actually that great.
Mhm.
It's-
A lot of
they don't
them just
even-
don't even make sense.
Well, what's the other one? Bloody Triangle of Sadness.
Oh,
that movie,
yeah.
I haven't seen
that
it.
movie, that movie,
That was hilarious.
that movie was very fun, but its criticism is so surface level that it's almost
Yeah.
like it shouldn't have even bothered. It's like a they just copied and pasted a Twitter thread as their inspiration.
What's funny, and this is interesting, is we are talking about The Whale.
That's right.
That is right.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole criticism thing is really interesting because I do think The Whale has obviously criticism in it.
Yeah.
And I found that so interesting. I wrote it here. Like, there's a whole thing nowadays, like being fat phobic
Yep.
and presenting obesity in a negative way. And yet this movie definitely is not for obesity.
Oh, it's completely
yeah,
against.
It's like it's the single
Well-
thing that destroys him, like the character.
I definitely
I
think that
disagree with that,
wasn't there people who complained about it like being fat phobic?
Oh, of course there would be.
Which
Well,
is
they
just
complain
kind of-
about every movie.
Yeah,
I think I think it's not the sole reason for his downfall, as you said, though. Or
Well, so, sorry, I
like
mean
physically, yes, but
physically, I mean, yeah.
there's so many other
Definitely
things at
not.
play.
Like,
But I
fully.
mean, at the end of the day, like his fatness didn't cause him being fat. It was everything else.
yeah.
No, he went through like emotional
Yeah.
trauma and he became fat.
Yeah.
But like, what I mean is, you know, eating what you want, whatever.
Yeah, there's sort of
You know,
that.
No, it's
that
you
ideology
can't
of,
agree
like-
with that, can you?
no, and that was the.
It's-
And
I
that's,
don't, and I don't understand why it's sort of like it's just so accepted. I mean, like it's so strange to encourage that behavior. It's almost just like encouraging negative behaviors.
But that's the thing. In like we live in a super sensitive like you have to be.
World at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super sensitive world. You have to be PC.
Yeah.
You have to be. I couldn't believe that this movie got made. I was like, what?
I wonder.
This-
I
I
wonder
think-
how long it took.
Well,
Because it took like
it had been filming for a couple of years, had it not?
Well, not filming, but even just
Or
getting the project.
production and-
Yeah.
pre-production or whatever and getting it funded.
Mm.
But like I actually couldn't believe it got funded. I was sitting there going, this movie is just painting this obese person in a terrible
Yeah, I
way.
would say Marlon will
You
back
know.
me up on this. I was eating like M&Ms in like a
Yeah.
chop top, and I'm watching this.
Dude.
I'm watching this movie. I'm like, I can't eat this.
Yeah,
I'm
There's
gonna
this-
throw up.
And
It
that's
was
the
so
thing.
bad.
Like some people, this was interesting. A lot of people said that like the scenes where he ate a lot of food was kind of comedic. Like people thought.
I
mean,
found it disturbing.
I guess
Well,
you
that's
could
the thing.
get that,
People
but I
thought,
was.
people thought it was done in a really dumb, like obvious way, and I was like, no, I thought it was done in a scary way.
Dude, when bro gets the KFC bucket.
Oh,
He
with
picked
the,
up
I
the
was
fucking-
really-
Oh, dude.
that was so
Oh my
gross.
god. He
Look,
picked up the fucking thing.
I'm not going to say it stopped me from eating my choc top, because it didn't. I love choc tops. I'll get one at every film, but it did make me like unsettled in my seat,
Dude, I was
which
like,
not
I
many
was sitting
movies
there.
do.
I was sitting there
That-
like,
that
I'll
morning-
never eat fast food again.
Dude, that morning
Never.
I had eaten fried chicken, and then I watched him like, and it was in like slow mo. He's eating
Yeah.
this fried chicken, and I was like,
Yeah. Look, and honestly, that's a testament to Brendan Fraser
Mm.
as an
Oh,
actor. He's
actually so
amazing.
good in this
He
movie.
was
But
really good.
That is essentially what the movie is like.
It
That's
is
why
very
you
good.
watch it.
I agree that.
Just
I
watch
think
it for Brendan Fraser.
I must
I
say,
think
it's,
as well. What's her name?
Sadie
Sadie
Sink.
Sinks was amazing too.
Yeah,
Oh,
she's great.
I think her character though was written
interesting.
a bit over the top.
Yeah.
Like when she's just so stereotypically like against everything, and I don't think anyone's that black and white.
Yeah, I don't believe even if
Especially
you didn't
teenager.
like your own dad, if you saw him in that way, and especially because he was being so nice to her,
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's just no way
it just seems
someone like this unless
You're deranged.
she's straight up like a psychopath
Yeah,
Yeah.
that can't feel
and isn't the
empathy.
point they make the point that she's actually like she's not that bad. She's trying to be nice.
Yeah, but look, the
It's
thing
like-
is, you guys are saying like, I don't get how someone can act that way. But when we're introduced to his mum, or her mum, Liz,
Mm.
never seen a bigger bitch in a movie.
Mm.
Like,
Oh.
how cruel.
See, I also
and-
understood where she was coming from.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
understood
can.
her, but I just don't.
But then you
I don't
ask
think
why
she-
the daughter is the way she is.
I think it's very complicated at the end
Oh,
of the day.
100%.
You
I mean,
definitely
but-
weren't supposed to straight up root for Charlie.
Yeah.
Oh, no,
he
not
done
at
some
all.
bad shit. Like
Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
abandoned his
Yeah, that's
family.
fucked up, bro. Right? Could you imagine that? You're like, no, fuck you guys.
Like,
Yeah,
oh,
he's
my
out.
boyfriend.
He's out.
and yeah, I don't know. There's a lot to unpack. You talk about a complex family sort of thing in Aftersun. Wait till you get to the whale. Hey?
Yeah.
And that was the thing, like, again, when I mentioned, I couldn't believe it got funded. Like, you got this guy, he's gay, and he's obese, and yet he's kind of a piece of shit.
Mm.
Like, he's kind of a piece of shit, and you aren't supposed to root for him at all. And he's, like, so incredibly flawed as a character, which is why I liked it. I bought into his character completely.
I
And
actually
thought
you were sympathetic to his situation.
Yeah,
and
you do feel bad.
Yeah.
The makeup was amazing.
Oh yeah, the
Like, if
prosthetics and
that,
stuff.
if
yeah.
that does not win an Oscar,
That's coming
Yeah,
up
Oscars
soon
make
too,
no
isn't it?
yeah, in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
No, I won't win it 'cause it's fat phobia. They can't. They can't.
That's
do it.
rubbish.
Right, is the
Rubbish.
thing.
Yeah, they're cancelled. They're done if they do
Oh,
it.
no.
They have to just not even acknowledge it.
Well, I honestly think Brendan Fraser, because this movie's a big deal because he was kind of ousted from Hollywood,
Mm.
but like not
Well-
that the fans wanted him ousted, he just was.
When you act in The Mummy, come on, guys.
No, that's like, he's got this cult status, and
Yeah,
the whole thing
it's
is
actually
like.
interesting how loved he is.
But the whole thing is that they called it like the Renaissance, the
Mm.
fact that he was coming back to like acting, and he'd done such a great job.
Oh, yeah,
If
that's
that if that social thing wasn't attached to him, I doubt he would have even got nominated for Best Actor.
Mm.
And,
Yeah.
and Hollywood would have just barred the movie because it's like it is controversial for sure, and I've seen a lot of people like really shit on it because they don't like kind of some of the ideas that have been thrown around.
But I think as well, I think you can watch a movie and not agree with whatever ideology it has and still go, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
people,
I think that's
people
one of the most
refuse to
important
have their ideas challenged. They're like, nah, not okay.
But if you can't watch a normal movie and kind of hear criticisms for your values or whatever, and then you have to kick up a fuss, you're like, I can't believe they said this, then the reason you're probably upset is probably because it's right and you're wrong. If you actually have strong enough values, you should be able to be tested in some sort of way.
And challenged.
Like if you believe in the whole like fat people shouldn't be criticized for what they do, which I mean, if you have that opinion, you can have that opinion.
Yeah.
But if you can't just watch a movie where the movie doesn't agree with you and you have to kick up a storm, like, I think that's on you. That's not on the movie.
Yeah.
That's on you. That's your own insecurities.
Yeah.
Just quickly, I'd like to touch on two things throughout The Whale that I did really like.
Yeah.
And that was the lack of different sets.
Yeah, I wrote that as well.
I thought,
It really gets you in that very...
Yeah.
He's fucking trapped in this
Exactly,
box.
yeah. It's a sort of isolation is one of the main themes. But also and it's about the only resemblance it has, but it reminded me of 12 Angry Men.
Yes.
And I love
I wrote
12
that as
Angry
well.
Men.
Yes,
I really do.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that, yeah.
But the 1 or 2 to 3, so it's like there's the deck, there's his living room, and sure, the camera angle changes, and then there's
There's literally
bedroom.
the one shot at the start of Ellie getting off the bus,
Yeah.
which is not in the apartment.
Yeah.
And I'm sure partly the reason why that's the way it is because it's based on a play.
Yeah.
And so they
which
would purposely-
I don't know if this is something you guys noticed, but the blocking
Yeah, you
is
mentioned that
very,
too.
very play-like.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
there's the scene where the mum is talking and she's facing this way and he's sitting like there, and it's just so like it felt like I was watching a play almost.
Honestly, I haven't seen a play. Nick and I were talking about this on the way here.
Ever.
Or like,
Did you not do drama or anything back in
I
grade
did,
8?
but do you think I paid attention
No,
to
I
the blocking,
guess.
Isaac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, no, because Marlon was talking about he's never seen like theatre or
yeah.
anything. He hadn't seen.
I'm not big on theatre though. I feel like theatre is
Hamilton's
kind
in
of...
Brisbane. I might go.
See,
see
I don't
it.
like
Yeah,
musicals
that was talked
for the
about.
most part.
Yeah.
Like La La Land was like the first
The
musical
exception
that...
for you.
You haven't seen Singing in the Rain.
But a security guard just walked past.
Classic.
Wow.
Anyway, the other thing with that few settings is there are also few characters. Like, you look at the
But
cast.
that's-
There's like 7 people. It's incredible.
But that's why I like that sort of thing.
Yeah,
because
it's really
because
good.
they can't rely on. No one can give a half-assed performance. Because if they're bad, then we'll be able to tell you're bad. And that's why, like, I think it was done really well because everyone was clearly like, we can't hide, we have to act like really well.
Look, and it gives you the time to develop, I sort of guess, some sort of thought or emotion for the characters you're seeing. Like, hell, I felt really upset when the pizza man, who'd been so kind and caring to Charlie, through the door, saw him and ran.
Pizza Man's the goat, bro.
I get.
You can tell he actually cared, dude. Like,
Yeah, he
he's
cared,
Like, dude,
but-
are you okay?
But he cared until he saw it,
But okay, was it like...
which is
I don't
just.
know, was it fear of like... Oh, what the I've been giving this guy pizza?
It would have to be both.
Or is it like...
It wasn't
he's-
guilt. Was he
it would
like,
be-
oh damn, I've been killing
Yeah.
this guy? like,
Yeah, that's what I thought is.
I don't know, maybe it's a bit of both.
It would have to be.
remember the-
Well, if
Oh.
I worked at Domino's and I
Yeah.
served a man that was that largely obese, I'd A, not want to serve him again for his own health, but B, I'd kind of be
I
scared.
mean, to be fair, he's probably that pizza place's like...
Best
main
customer,
source of
yeah.
income.
That moment though, where he's trying to have a heart attack, was so intense.
Dude.
He's like eating the
On
pizza.
the-
he got the
yeah.
whole pizza.
Yeah,
He's
but on the
eating
topic
his
of heart
shoulder.
attacks,
And I was going,
that scene at the start when he's fucking...
Masturbating.
masturbating.
That
That was
just disgusting.
such a way to start. I was like...
Yeah, like
It just gets you like, what the...
people talk about start with a bang.
But
Dude, start with a heart attack.
My point about like you clearly don't sympathize with the guy
Yeah.
because you see him and I'm like, you're disgusting, bro.
Because he sits
Yeah.
in it afterwards. Like, who does? Oh.
Yeah, he did. He
Oh,
just
he's-
sat there.
Dude,
Yeah.
he can't. What's he gonna do?
And then, like, the nurse walks in.
Oh, yeah.
Or, no, it wasn't the nurse. It was the missionary. Yeah, the
Is it
missionary
missionary
works
first?
in.
Yeah.
Yeah. As he's got the gay porn up and just...
Missionary.
Can you imagine that sight? Just
As a
fucking
missionary,
be
bro.
so intimidating. Yeah, especially as a Christian.
God brought him there, bro. Gotta do it.
And actually, that's the last point I had written here. Is I wanted to mention there's definitely a religious subtext to the
Yeah, the
film.
Bible's.
throughout the
I don't know
entire
anything
That's-
about Aronofsky's.
Well, no, he's a.
religious
I think
pretense.
he is super Christian. Like he made Mother,
I haven't
which
seen
the
Mother.
whole thing is like an
Mother.
analogy for
I haven't seen that.
Mother Earth and God, like as the two main characters, and
Okay.
then like
I've
the-
seen
there's that
Pi,
movie-
and Pi
there's that
has
movie
religious
Noah.
subtext as well.
The movie Noah is straight up just about
Yeah, okay.
Noah's
Noah's
Ark,
Ark,
you
yeah.
know. He's clearly, but I was wondering, what did you guys, if anything, take any ideas, Christian ideas from it?
I don't know. I didn't really think about the religious side of it too much.
You go.
Well, obviously Moby Dick is
But
I
that's
don't-
obviously
my-
not religious,
my-
though.
No, but that's as I said. I didn't think about the religious side. But I will say, I think the whale isn't just referring to him as the whale. I think the whale is got to do with Moby Dick as well, because if he, like that essay that Sadie Sink's character wrote, whatever, when she was like younger,
Yeah, that he's like raised.
that idea about the boring parts of like the descriptions of the whale to distract you from the sad story. I think that is almost the thesis of the film, because I don't know if I said to Marlon after we watched it, there was that middle bit, the act 2 was a bit boring at parts.
Slow, yeah.
And I think that was definitely on purpose. I think that was like some beautiful interwoven like storytelling, and I think that did an amazing job of again just making it clear that his situation is
And clearly
a sad story.
there's definitely a like Christian symbolism, because at the end,
Yeah,
I
it's-
hated that. I really didn't like that.
Yeah, I
Essentially.
kinda-
I don't know about all
he
that.
floats in the air like it's
That-
angelic. Like
Yeah, but I
into the
think
air.
I think that the symbolism of the only time it's light in the entire movie
That was
is that.
awesome.
I think that was really
Everybody
smart.
Did you notice that? Was
Yes.
It's when
it was
and it's
always
when
dark and
Sadie
gloomy.
Sink is reading her
Isn't
essay.
the door open or something?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
doors open.
Yeah, I think
but
that-
even when the door had been open, it was raining or it was nighttime,
Yeah.
storming, and then as he's dying, and
That's when the light.
Sadie or Ellie is reading her.
Well, I
essay.
wonder, does the light then represent that they've made up and it's like this, or is it like he's been freed from his fucking
I think
That
it's just his
trap
emotions.
body?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that whole thing, I can definitely understand why people would like criticize not being able to buy into it emotionally, because it's like totally unrealistic.
It's just over
he
the
just
top.
he just floats into the air.
I think
like,
that
Somebody
yeah.
He
please
just
tell
went
me next
fully-
time they see a person that's dying.
just floats in
ascend.
the air. Yeah.
Dude, I'd be seeing that all the
And
time.
also like, but like them sitting there going, "Oh, he's dying." It's like that's not how heart attacks work. You can't just sit there and be like,
My favorite thing
I'm
though is
dying
like
now.
this guy was so resolute on giving his money to
his
her
daughter.
instead of fucking getting health
Yeah,
insurance and
well,
shit.
that
Isn't that fucked though that America is like, no, I'm not gonna go to the hospital because if I
It
go,
costs too
I got
much.
no money.
yeah.
Like that's fucked.
Well, I think it's sad though because like he's got himself into this position where he doesn't want to live,
No.
and
Yeah, would you want to live like that?
no, but
Well, clearly he doesn't.
as
Yeah.
as the nurse makes out though, it isn't the end of the road for him if he doesn't want it to be.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's like, as you said, Nick, with the Christian things. At the end when he does die, I really just don't like it because the whole movie's built up this thing where he refuses and refutes God and Christianity because of what happened to his partner, which is, let's all agree here, the predominant reason for his health
Yeah.
is his partner's suicide.
Yeah.
And so when he ascends with this bright white light, obviously there's the two meanings at least of okay, he's freed himself, he's happy,
Yeah.
and then there's the religious aspect of he's going to heaven. I just really didn't like it.
Well,
Like, why would you do that?
not again, not to that point, but I think what Aronofsky does well in every movie I've watched is he really fucking gets you into it, like sort of in that headspace of fuck and hell. Like Pi, I don't think you guys have seen Pi. I was watching Pi. I didn't necessarily think it was the most amazing movie ever, but I was stressed as fuck, bro, watching that shit. Like you get into it. Requiem for a Dream, bro. That's like
So is that
That's the
that
most
is one of the
stressful
darkest movies I've ever
I'm watching
seen.
that shit. I'm like,
I only
fuck.
watched
The
that.
ending of that is so fucked
I
up.
only
And then the
watched
whale,
that
like, again, is
recently was Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah, I did.
forgot
I
that
did.
he directed it.
Yeah, it was
But
so
there
fucked
were
up.
some really depressing themes just throughout that as well, and they
he
transfer
likes
over to
likes
here.
depressing themes, doesn't he?
Because there's the substance abuse in this film as well.
Yeah.
Like not just from him, but from Ellie.
Oh, I
She
love
smokes
like the
Yeah.
Pot smoking scene.
the guy with the missionary is like, Psh, I smoke pot, bro.
So
Yeah.
smoke some.
Just classic white.
Yeah.
Like,
One thing, like,
Of course, man. I'm
As-
always smoking dope.
as much of a serious film as this is, there are some great laughs to be had.
Oh, I think it's funny.
Ellie walking around taking photos.
Yeah,
of
what
everything. What does that mean? But at the same
Yeah,
time,
to see, the start off with, like, they had great chemistry, the Brendan Fraser and his daughter,
Yeah.
Sadie Sink. You
Yeah.
know?
I
Great.
think she do.
But that's why, like, I couldn't not help but laugh because we, like, start off and we see him as this sort of disgusting kind of character.
And then he becomes a human, bro.
We kind of talked about it, and then she comes in and proceeds to just roast the fuck out of him.
Yeah,
And it's just like, you're
blunt.
fucking disgusting.
Could
It's
you
just
imagine?
like,
Could you imagine you had a daughter and she just started fucking going, "You're a fucking."
I hope you die. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, yeah.
She was just like, just fucking die already. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Well,
And then
that's
it's like,
one of,
write me my essay, bitch. And it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
it's one of the
Bro,
nice
what
things.
a
though.
what a deal though. She gets like 800k
Yeah.
and free homework, and
That
all she
is-
has to do is like sit there.
What
with
does
it.
she lose, bro? Nothing.
Just
Oh, well, then
has to-
she still fails though. So
Yeah, but no, that was one of the really nice things to watch was their relationship go up and down.
I also love I love how happy he was when she wrote like a haiku. And he's like, she's a fucking genius.
Yeah,
She wrote a haiku.
Yeah, it was great.
honestly, as soon as he reread it, I was like, oh, this is going to be a haiku or something. And because you know, there's the stereotype of English teachers seeing things that aren't there.
Yeah, but I mean,
And that
Yes.
shouldn't be that were never
Sure,
put there.
Sure.
I
Just
thought
like
that was quite
clawing
realistic.
for an interpretation.
Yeah, like I remember grade 9, 10, 11. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
and you hear it all the time. What does the sky blue mean? Everybody in class.
come on,
Like,
we
yeah.
all know.
Yes.
And so she writes one thing, and it's a haiku. It was like, actually,
But that was the
quite
best.
accurate.
That was the best part. Is like it was terrible, but she was like, "This is genius." This-
Yeah, because she was honest.
She was honest.
Dude.
And then he like wrote that email, and he was just like, "I want you guys to tell me something fucking true." Bang.
Could you imagine
Yeah.
like
Imagine
writing
it.
an essay
Yeah.
and it's just like the most honest thing ever, but it's like shit, and he's like, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Look,
See, I would do a better version of the menu, and I would just criticize the service industry. And be like, "Bang! How about that?"
with
Fucking people with all their demands. Who the fuck do they think they are?
All these chicks come up to me asking for oat milk iced lattes. Get the fuck out of my cafe.
Dude, people when they eat the whole meal and be like, oh, that was shit. I'd like a refund. You ate it.
Sitting there 10 minutes, like taking photos of their meal. Like, eat your fucking food.
Oh, dude, I'm so glad. I
No one cares
I
on
don't get to see
Instagram what
that.
your fucking food is, man.
I like
Who
seeing
cares?
like, people like to do the selfies and shit with their family. I mean, I don't disrespect that.
I
but
have this.
It's
all
like when
the
they
time.
just take the photos.
All the
of
time
food.
I talk about this to people. I go, "Who gives a fuck what you're eating?
The foodies, bro.
No one
It's
gives
the
a
foodies.
shit."
it's actually
Some people are
it's
into
an,
that.
It's an industry, Nick. If you
That's
have
a
noticed.
thing, man.
Yeah,
I mean, dude,
we're
we're-
bloggers.
Dude,
like-
we're doing a film podcast. It's like there's people who are like, fucking, they're just movies, bro.
Yeah,
It's like,
no, 100%.
it's just food, man.
Anyway, back to
Sorry.
that ending with the email sent out to his class and turning to his
Yeah.
camera. I think it was unnecessary. I think you could already get the point of the film without having to spell it out.
I wish it
really-
was funnier, low key. Like
I-
they were all just like,
the whole movie is just
Yeah, they were all shocked. Can you
none of them
imagine?
really react
That'd
too
be
much.
the best. Oh, dude! He just like closed the laptop.
Dude.
What the fuck?
Well,
I can smell you. through
Then the
computer.
fat phobic
Obviously-
complaints would get through the roof.
Oh my god.
obviously, we've just graduated and we went through the period of Zoom classes because of
Oh,
COVID.
fuck.
Yeah.
What would our reaction have been in that scene? It would have been of like shock, right?
Could you imagine?
Yeah, well,
And they
that's the
bring
thing.
these-
The kids really kind of undersold that.
Yeah.
They kind of
That's what I'm saying.
they're
That's-
like-
they
They
just
look
go
at
like-
this. They look at this guy and they just went.
There was the one guy who was just like,
Like, I guess, sure, you can kind of make the point that, oh, they know him as a person without the face.
Yeah.
Putting the face to the person doesn't mean anything to them. Like,
they
it's still the
definitely
same
knew he was
person.
fat already, bro.
Oh, yeah.
They could just, I
But
feel like you can just tell. But
I
maybe
just
that,
thought,
that's some bias, but
I
yeah.
just thought it was just too blunt at the end. He spelt out the message of the film. Like,
Too
come
on the
on.
nose.
If you can't already get that from
Yeah.
the other, hour and a half
I think
of
a
the
lot of
film.
movies do that, where they sort of like just tell you the point of the movie.
Yeah, but it's shooting
You
itself
know,
in
you
the
know,
foot.
you know that where that started, I reckon. Like French New Wave, where it's just like they just have like some shit pop up, and it's like this is the movie.
Yeah.
It's like what the
But-
fuck?
Yeah.
Like, we're taught from a young age at school to show not tell, right?
Mm.
And I think they were doing such a great job of building up this theme, this message's point, and then he goes, just be honest.
Hey man,
Like, come on.
it's ironic
Isn't it?
because he's an English teacher too, and it's the English teachers who tell you to show not
Yeah,
tell.
sure, not tell. But it just frustrated me.
Isn't that interesting though that the whale kind of has the problem of telling too much, and then Aftersun didn't tell enough.
Yeah.
It's like similar things.
Yeah.
No, it was just like I loved everything to the end.
Yeah.
I thought everything was great until the ascension and the tell instead of the show,
Sure.
which upset me because like it wasn't that long a film. It was just under 2 hours, right? It feels like he kind of undid something.
Was it even that
I
long?
think it was an hour 50 something.
Okay, yeah.
But it just felt like it undid some of the work that it had built up. Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm happy to give ratings now if we're good. Is there anything else for the whale?
I think that should be about it. I mean, there was the symbolism of the blackbird, the raven, or the crow
yeah.
that he kept feeding. He was,
yeah.
which is
I noticed when we
yeah.
sort
He
of
said
had
that.
it
I
at the same
asked
time.
you
Yeah, we
whether
were
that
like,
was a
I was like,
raven or a crow.
and then I immediately got like, where you were going with it? I'm like,
Yeah, because like you look at it, he's feeding death,
and
and then it penned back.
he's like bleeding it on, bro. With
Yeah.
having heart attacks and on.
Exactly, he's contributing to
Yeah,
himself.
that's
to
actually good.
lives.
I like that.
And I did like that, and it just frustrated me at the end.
And then the bird pissed off like the day that he died. It didn't come back.
Yeah.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
All right, I'm happy to give ratings if you guys
Well,
are.
you can
You go
you go
first.
first, Marlon.
I'm gonna give the whale a 7.
7.
Again, I'm the same on the 7.
I'm the same.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
Seven.
We're all
I
agreeing.
think-
here?
Again, solid.
Solid.
Missed a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Same
think
thing with Aftersun. I
Yeah.
thought it was solid, but it just missed a few things.
no, look, it would have given me I would have given this a much higher rating.
Yeah. For me, the
If it
next
wasn't for the
movie,
ending.
not to say anything, but
Oh yeah. Okay, we get it.
it's going to be good.
Well, let's just do it. Let's get into it.
Let's get into
Yeah.
it.
So I'll say quickly. I know Barry wants to
Yeah.
introduce because he's kind of
course.
obsessed with this thing. But none of us had seen the movie,
No, not at all.
No.
and I picked it because it was my turn. It was the first movie we're picking, like
Yeah.
an older film for all of you guys to watch and kind of discover new movies and come along with us as we discover new things. Because we hadn't seen this. But this is a film from 1985. Bowie.
Brazil by Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yes.
Monty Python, Fear and Loathing.
Yeah.
He's an absolute genius, and this movie is
Yeah.
genius. It's so funny. It's honestly, it's obviously, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's pretty obvious if you've seen it. It's a parody of 1984,
Definitely.
and I think this is far better than the book. I think it is just so much. It almost it's a different type of satire. It's Horatian,
But
or
that's
whatever.
the thing.
But it's just so genius.
It's genius, but it's also like it's a satire, but yet it still manages to convey
Yeah,
serious.
it does its
things.
criticism.
And
I
like
think
at
that's
the end, you're like, damn. Like
It's
and it's
It's
so
it's-
layered, man. Like
Yeah.
it. I don't know. It's just to me, it just hit me, and I love movies like this as well. So it just hit
Yeah.
me just where I wanted it to.
Yeah, because I watched it first before either of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew Isaac was gonna eat this shit
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
Like I texted him,
exactly.
was like, "You're gonna love this movie."
Yeah.
I just think
But-
as well, it's probably one of the funniest movies I've seen.
It's really
With some of the
good.
stuff, yeah.
The jokes are so clever.
I
I
came
makes
out
sense.
honestly with more questions than
But I think-
answers, though, which is a good thing for a film, I guess.
But it makes sense.
No, to me, honestly, it actually kind of is pretty.
I was
pretty
going to say,
clear.
though, with the kind of great comedic things,
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me that it's really well done comedically.
Yeah, I mean, if
because
it wasn't funny, you'd be
it was
surprised.
from this guy who co-wrote Monty Python, which is like one of the most
Dude, Monty Python
iconic,
is
Classic.
one of the most iconic classic comedy
So
things.
did he co-write all of them?
I don't know if
I
it's
think he
all
was
of
in like a lot of
Because
He
the
them.
definitely
Holy
did.
Grail,
Holy
has
Grail,
some
he did.
amazing
He did Life with
moments.
Brian.
Like, and he did
Yeah.
the other one. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
full Monty.
I don't know.
I don't know.
And
Maybe
also,
used it.
we Marlon hasn't seen Fear and
No,
Loathing.
I haven't.
But
Nah.
Fear,
It's
Fear,
It's on the watch list, guys.
Fear and Loathing was again one of the funniest movies.
Also based off a book.
that I'd seen.
But,
you know.
Interestingly, I saw a thing that said he hasn't actually read 1984.
You're joking.
He hasn't read it, so I don't know how
That's
he.
great.
It's insane
That's
how
great.
well he managed to adapt it in a better way. Maybe that's a good thing he didn't read it then.
Maybe that was kind of the plan. Like, I'll be honest, I haven't read 1984.
No, neither have I.
I haven't read it, but I know
I have
most
it.
about it because it's like it's one of the most popular. Like,
Yeah,
everyone
it's-
talks
yeah.
about it,
Yeah, that's
You know,
definitely true.
Taught in school.
and you could
etc.
definitely understand conveniently. Also, Brazil came out in 1985.
I think
Yeah.
there is a
Year
quote
after-
from what's his name?
The
Terry
year after
Gilliam,
1984.
that is like the 1984 is 1984.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Which is, I think, is also true because I think the criticism a lot of the time it offers is a lot more current than what 1984 was.
Oh,
For
absolutely.
example, like you have all this consumerist shit, which is like very today, and like just a lot of other stuff. I think is
Well,
very more.
That's what I was thinking when I was watching it. Is I get and I can relate in a sense to a lot of these things that I think his name's what? Is it Sam? Yeah.
Yeah,
Sam
Sam Larry.
Sam Larry.
Sam Larry.
What Sam's
Harry.
going through, it's the numbness of the day-to-day repetition. Like I felt that.
And I love the like idea of just the paperwork for the paperwork and how inefficient a state that functions like that is.
But that's like some of that stuff. I super loved the first like 45 minutes, and we're like getting introduced to the world and everything. And I loved all those we'll talk about the dreams at a point, but him flying around looked so great. It was like awesome.
Him
There was
flying
the scene where he first meets De Niro.
Yeah.
Where he like his thing breaks, and then these people show up going like, you need a warrant from the government just to open up your wall to fix like
it's
errors,
so good.
you know. And it was so like,
Could you imagine living in that world?
I
No,
know,
well,
it's
and when I
crazy.
say I came out with more questions than answers, I think what I really mean is, this is a film that made me really think, and I don't think deeply about every film I watch, but this was like, I'm actually asking the questions here, and I want the
interesting.
answers.
It's kind of crazy. You could say it's in the leagues with 2001. In terms of like so much thematic richness that you just want to talk about it. You want to break it down. There's so much stuff to like look at and think about, and you could rewatch this movie like 5 times and you'd still have stuff.
I think
to
I'll
talk
never
about.
not love this movie.
Yeah, I think. Look,
It's just so.
I got a couple questions I wanted to ask you guys. The main one that I think is interesting is, do we think Jill, which is his love interest, do we think her in real life is the same as she is in the dream, and why is her character important? Like,
Okay, I actually have an interpretation of the Jill. This isn't related to the dreams.
okay,
But in 1984, the love between Julia and Winston, that's sort of like a symbol for like the rebellion against the society. And I think that functions in the same way here, because it's not till he starts his relationship with Jill, or, you know, that he starts to break away from the society. I think she also sort of represents that breakaway. Like, for example, you know, like when he's at the restaurant with his mum, and there's a fucking terrorist attack. He doesn't care. No one cares.
But it happens all the time.
But then once he started the relationship with Jill, and he's in the mall or whatever, and it blows up, now he actually cares. I mean, in a way, it's because it's her, but I think that's why she represents this change in him.
yeah.
Well, I just didn't understand. Like, and I'm sure there must be a reason for it, but yeah, he dreams of this
The savior complex.
this savior girl, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's dreaming of trying to save this woman, and then he meets one who looks, I mean, she looks the same, but at least similar,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And it does kind of the opposite effect. She kind of saves him from the bureaucracy, you know, which I thought was really interesting.
I guess with Jill, what really not confused me, but I was like thinking of like, why is this way? And it's, you see all the rich in this society, they're allowed to have the partners, but as soon as Sam has a partner, he gets swarmed by the police. Like when he's in the dream.
It's also interesting, yeah, how the rich, how the rich and powerful act within the society compared to everyone else.
I thought some of the, I mean, like, and I've written down just to mention the use of practical effects was amazing. It looked so good.
So
I mean, the
disgusting.
cover art letterbox with like
But
his mom's.
Yeah.
But that. Not only was that so well done, but that's so classic. Like this modern age, the rich like getting all this fucked up plastic surgery and
Dude,
just
I
getting
love, like, the
all their
acid.
skin pulled back, and it was really
They're like
gross.
the dwarf guy who's like, I use acid on, it's way better treatment, and then this woman just slowly just fucking melts.
Melts,
It's
yeah.
so good.
Well, look,
my complication had a complication.
the makeup artistry reminded me of The Grinch, and I know The Grinch is what, 15 years later.
Yeah, I can see that.
But
I think a lot of practical effects sort of looked at.
I think it was pretty good. It was kind of disgusting.
But it
Yeah.
and it just
Definitely.
created this sort of sense of it felt super alien yet super realistic.
Yeah, and
And
it's
Fear and Loathing does the same thing.
Yeah.
Like all the trip scenes in that are all practical, like all the effects and all that.
yeah.
looks so
I think it almost makes it more surreal too. Like if you have it really digital and so on, you kind of just feel like
nothing.
this couldn't be my
It's not
reality.
tangible.
Yeah.
But once it's like a physical thing, it's like that. It almost gets that uncanny look getting
Yeah,
going.
these are
So
on
that
these
brings
people.
it into that
Yeah.
surreal level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think obviously the main theme is control in this film.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what do we think the ultimate message of the movie is?
I guess.
I think it's a criticism of bureaucracy, like especially obviously 20th century.
The role government's playing people's lives. I
Yeah.
think. But like,
I thought it was
And
so poetic that at the end, it's his mate who tortures him.
Yeah.
like his work.
And he
colleague.
does it so, like, he's so indifferent about it. Because you know how...
Well, he acts like.
Well, because, like, you think he cares, the friend, but it's actually Sam having this fantasy as he's being tortured.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
it shows that
so
he
sad.
doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
But maybe, and I just thought of this now, maybe the whole thing is the whole at the end, this tortured fantasy. Maybe like that's what all of the dreams are. It's just like this tortured fantasy that in reality is not going to happen. Because
Well, I
you see
wonder-
all this like him as a superhero,
Yeah.
but in reality he's this low scum sort of
Scum's
but I mean scum and sort of like he's just a nobody.
He's a
He's
guy.
just this like
Yeah.
random dude who's buried underneath a mountain of crap and
Yeah.
can't
See,
get
the
promoted.
thing is, well, he could though. He kept refusing it because he doesn't want to be the way.
Which
he
is
sees
also
everyone
an
else.
interesting point. I think maybe that's something to say as well about people not actually wanting to
Be the bad
be something.
person
They just want to be
themselves.
existing.
part of
in
the
that-
group.
Yeah.
I like initially straight away. There's a quote when he's going into one of the big government areas. It's loose talk is news talk.
Yeah, that's.
So you speak out, you're gonna get killed.
I also love how it's so funny the way that he's like hitting the fly, and that just fucks. That's the whole movie.
That was
Is
great.
from the fly,
Yes.
and I also
That scene
that
actually,
is hilarious. The whole Buttle Tuttle confusion and it's
Yeah.
genius.
but that is so perfect in the sense of representing how just a nonchalant mistake could fuck someone's life up.
Yeah,
Completely.
and especially I think it shows how a system like that, where there's no
plus how like shitty
Chance for deviation.
Yeah.
essentially.
and
It's
like
just so
dodgy
strict.
technology is.
yeah.
Like we rely on it so much, and we have this tiny error. Boom! Some guy he gets
Mm.
killed, he dies, and it's like
Yeah. Well, that's what I.
I think how sad was I mean it's funny too, but how sad is the scene when Larry goes to the widow's house with the check and he's like, "Oh, I've got a check for your
Yeah.
the husband situation."
yeah.
She's like, "What have you done with his body?" Ugh.
He's like, oh, that's not my problem. It's this person's problem. You got to talk to
Yeah,
them about
that
it."
was a major theme as well, shifting blame between
Yeah.
officers.
One of the best scenes, like funny scenes, was when like his office or whatever gets sent the bill, and they're all trying like we need to pawn this bill off to somebody else. We can't deal with this like $200 bill,
Yeah.
and everyone's just freaking out. Like, we need to send it away, and it comes back, and they're like, we can't handle this bill. Like it's just how like actually pathetic it is. It's just great.
I think again back onto the theme of control. I thought that was a resemblance here to the Nazis. There was big gold statues in the government buildings with like this slogan "Truth will set you free."
Well, I wonder if
and there was high military police.
I wonder if that's
presence
just
throughout.
because, in a sense, that's just whatever
Whatever.
the most stereotypical idea of what a totalitarian
Yeah.
thing looks like. But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
like that's what I thought of, especially with the bronze, the gold and bronze statue.
The one thing that did confuse me
The details
was
were great.
the actual layout of the city is so
yeah.
confusing.
But I think
Could you imagine
that's the
living?
point. Though.
No, yeah, no.
You're not supposed to know
Because the whole idea
fuck
is
you
like there's
see.
all this fucking problems because of the way the system works. Like it's
Yeah.
just an impractical world. But I imagine
I
living
loved,
there.
I think one of the funniest and also one of my favourite scenes is when he gets to that new office and the desk is like stuck in the wall and
Yeah.
he's sharing the desk.
And then when the guy
I
like
thought that was great.
he goes over and he's like, "Oh, I want to use your computer," and he's like, "Oh, a woman's involved." He's like, he can't even use, doesn't even turn on the computer. He's like, "Oh, it's broken."
Yeah.
I guess
That's a great bit.
like one thing is obviously there's vents.
Oh no, sorry. And then when he goes back to the other room, he's pushing the desk. Anyway, sorry.
But no, there's vents everywhere, right? Vents.
Yeah, but
aircon
Yeah,
does.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that breaks, etc., etc. And that is, like, I had to do my research because that's one of the questions I wrote down.
Yeah.
What do the vents mean? And like, I guess it's similar in the sense to the pillars in his dream. They're confining him. It's the government being everywhere.
Yeah, right.
All the time.
And
So, you know, in like one of the first dreams he has, when there's huge like metal pillars, or stones that like pin him down, right? Like, that's, I guess, an expression of how he feels in the real world of being trapped. And that's one of the main themes as well.
And I just think like how it's written is so genius, because they put a bunch of stuff in it that doesn't really, it seems inconsequential. Like his friend seems inconsequential. He's his mate, he needs help, whatever. And De Niro as well shows up whenever he has a problem. He's like this just random hero type, just saves him. But then that's why the ending is so tragic, because at the end you realize De Niro never showed up, never actually saved him at all, and his mate is torturing him and doesn't care, and all of that stuff. And that's why it makes it so tragic.
I think what Tuttle in the film is a symbol of is that sort of transcendence of society. He's escaped the confounds or whatever. But I think obviously his dream at the end, to me, is symbolizing that even Tuttle, who is this figure who's escaped, you know, the society, he can't really in the end, because you see all the paper going on top of him and he's ultimately smothered by it. Yeah.
I really like that scene.
I don't know if, because obviously it's his dream, it's sort of like his unconscious telling him, like, you cannot escape this society, you're still within it. You kind of need to get out of this delirium you're in. And again, that's another thing, is that in the end, he has all these ways of escaping, right? But the only one that has ever worked and does ultimately work is losing his sanity. That's the only way to get out of the society. So,
no, on the newspaper scene, so obviously, was it in his dream?
Yeah, it's in his dream.
Yeah,
because
he's escaped in his dream.
Where like he falls through the
yeah, that's
what is it called?
Floor, wasn't it?
No, with the dead body in it. What's that called?
The morgue?
No, like
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
Bloody what a dead body's tomb? The tomb thing.
Yeah,
coffin.
Okay.
Jesus.
Anyway,
that's what we made. The coffin. When he falls through the coffin. That's how you kind of know it's a dream.
He fell like onto the floor, and then just the paper swarmed him.
Yeah, that was
like,
I was trying to figure out like what the fuck is going on.
Yeah,
and then I was like,
like it's consuming him. It's
just
trapping
disappears.
everything.
And everyone's like looking.
And then he disappears. Yeah, I really loved that. And another thing I really loved was the set design.
Yeah, it was great.
How crazy was that? Like, I love seeing different directors' interpretations on a futuristic dystopian world.
Also, in that scene with the funeral, his mum obviously becomes, for a little bit, he sees her as what's her name, Jill?
Jill, yeah.
Why?
Is that an Oedipus complex bullshit thing happening there, or is that something else? I couldn't figure that out.
I thought it was like.
Maybe it's because that's what Jill somewhat symbolizes. I don't know, but I don't.
He clearly has a very we'll call it unhealthy relationship with his mum.
No doubt.
And you know how we talked about earlier, how in actuality he wants this sort of savior complex, but in actuality Jill is the savior for him. Like it kind of escapes him out of the cogs of the system, and he becomes
the Matrix, right?
Matrix, yeah. You know,
get Andrew Tate here right now.
No, that's not.
He gets out. Talk about not being politically correct. Then you have, you know, he clearly has this relationship with his mum, and I wasn't really sure what he was trying to go for, like what he wanted out of his mum. But I was thinking perhaps maybe he hoped that his mum could help him in some sort of way, because she is super successful.
Yeah.
And
why is she so?
And that's why maybe he saw her as that girl.
Yeah, her husband.
Of course.
That's right. Yeah.
Whoa.
He saw, you know, he's starting to realize that Jill is this sort of savior type for him, and then he sees his mum, and perhaps he sees Jill because he's thinking about he needs the savior, and he's been looking at his mum this whole time, and now it's Jill.
Yeah. Because they're both his savior.
Yeah.
That is good.
But in actuality, Jill is his savior.
Yeah.
Because
and
then
you see
it transforms back to his mum, and he realizes, fuck this bullshit.
And you notice as well,
doesn't she die, the mum?
No.
Or just disappears?
Oh, I don't know.
She just doesn't
pop
up.
No, but that's but you know how he finds Jill is ultimately just by chance. He actually doesn't find her. So the job that his mum gave him, and that is like not helped him in that task. And it's actually what sort of sets him off into that path of you're fucked, because he has all these jobs to do that he hasn't been doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I think that as well helps to show that she was his savior, but it was sort of in the end not true, and it was Jill. And that's why, you know, he's looking at her, you're my savior, but it's actually Jill.
Well, I think,
and then that fade,
that
you're like, yeah, you're not my savior.
the more he tried to escape the system he was in, the further he got from his mum. You could see the distancing, and like there is one scene towards the end where she's back for a split second and then gone again, and so sort of it brings up the point or the message of sometimes you lose what's closest to you when you're looking for what you need and want.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing I in the film is that a lot of scenes will be shot through like something covering up the frame, like they'll be talking through a hole, or there'll just be something covering it up.
It's because there's just so much, like they're just
But it
buried,
shows
they're just buried by
no, but
society.
yeah, it shows how they're buried by the society, and how that means that they can't really connect.
Yes.
There's something always in the way. There's a barrier.
I did
I
want
think
to.
yeah.
I did want to bring up, and we'll do it quickly, and it shouldn't take long. But clearly, we all liked the movie.
Yeah.
Was there anything we didn't like about the movie?
Ooh, I do have a couple of things.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Because I only had one little criticism, and I'll bring it up. Do you want me to say my thing first?
Let's hear yours first.
All I thought it was slightly too long.
I've heard
That's
I
one
heard
of my
someone
things
say
as
It
that.
was
well.
slightly too long, and I think the part where it was too long is, and I started to get kind of bored, a little bored, is because I felt it took too long with the relationship between Sam and Jill, because he meets her and he goes to that new department, and I was really interested, you know, the desk joke and whatever. But then like he's in the archives and all that for a while, and then he like has to get in the truck with her, and that
was a
that
good
truck was
scene.
that was
I
funny.
liked that
though,
scene.
when
It was a
he's
good
like got
it
the
was
gun.
Yeah, it was a good scene. It was really funny, but I was like, this is taking a while. I felt like
No, it is.
it just took them too long to do stuff, you know.
True.
I'm just getting interrupted here.
Yeah,
Won't
we're
be 1
currently
second.
recording in a library, so. You know.
Anyway, let's get back to it.
So yeah, it was a bit long. That's one of the criticisms I have. I also thought, and this is just like I guess part of the time period and the genre of the film, but I thought some of the acting was over exaggerated to the extent which
It's definitely on purpose.
to the extent which I didn't like it. Some of it,
I don't know. See, it worked for me really well.
Sam just like it was corny.
I thought
Also,
it was great.
the actor for Sam Larry. This is like a completely nothing point, but him, who plays Jim in The Office? What's his name?
Oh
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, and there's someone else. For me, they're just like all like the same, like just from different time periods.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but something about the way they use their face is like just the exact same. I was watching that movie, I'm like, this guy could be like redone with the guy from The
Look,
Office.
I'm not saying it was bad at all. I
Joker's
just thought it was a little bit too corny for my liking, and I
Yeah.
get it was the style. I just
I don't
it
know,
didn't
it's,
sit
I mean,
great
it's-
with me.
Again, it's like with Monty Python, everything's so silly.
Oh,
Yeah. I guess for me, like, it was like they'd written the whole movie, and all of it was funny. Like every scene,
Yeah.
it's not like no scene has no purpose. It was all funny, and they felt like they had the decision of they could cut some bits out and make it a bit more refined, which I think would have made it a bit better. But they were like, none of this stuff, like this stuff, we like this stuff too much.
Yeah, I
We
get
want all this stuff in the movie, and so they said,
Yeah.
fuck it, we're just gonna release this kind of
Yeah.
longer.
See, I was watching the movie and I was in the perfect headspace where I just was so encapsulated with it. So like,
where are you now?
so like, even if it was long, like, it sort of is like, I didn't really, when I was watching it, I didn't really go, oh my god, this is too long here. It was just everything to me was just, this is the world I'm in right now. Like, wasn't thinking about anything else.
And I guess the last criticism I have, and it's pretty small because most of this film was good or great,
Yeah.
even. And we'll get onto that in a minute. But I thought the score was so unoriginal.
But I almost think that's kind of on purpose.
If it is,
I think because it's sort of a parody. But I also love that the main theme song. I think it's so
But that
good.
was-
got Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the thing
Brazil
is,
was
though,
awesome.
like, I could definitely see that as a criticism, and you haven't seen Fear and Loathing yet.
Yeah,
Fear and
I have
Loathing in Las
not,
Vegas.
no.
But like, that movie has some of the most incredible use of music, like licensed music and original music as well. And for me, I just don't think Terry Gilliam would have had some mediocre shit
Yeah.
in it, unless it was for a reason, which is
Okay.
why I kind of think Bowie.
I
is
definitely,
great.
yeah.
And when I think about it now, I've likened it to Star Wars and Superman.
Well,
The
Superman,
score.
what, 'cause of
Wait,
the-
elaborate. Oh, the score.
Yeah,
Oh.
Not the film, jeez,
No,
guys,
okay.
come on.
I was
It's not
gonna-
that
that's like-
stupid.
Superman.
That's like,
what-
that is a really interesting point. That's,
Let's
okay.
get on
So
top of
I've
that.
likened the score to the Superman and Star Wars scenes, which have obviously come out
Yeah.
beforehand.
Yeah.
And I think if he has done it on purpose, maybe Star Wars is an example, like with the Imperial March or something, the control theme aspect.
Yeah.
But I did, as Isaac said, I did like the lyrical song Brazil,
Sure.
which does bring me to a question. Do we think the title Brazil has?
Why is it
Meaning?
Brazil? I couldn't figure that out.
Is there a meaning?
I had no
I'm gonna
idea.
search that up.
Because
I
Brazil,
had no idea.
Brazil as a country itself, it doesn't really have any. Like I
It's
can't
not
make
even-
any
Brazil's
links.
like
No.
Is it
not
something
a
to do with the
good-
Amazon and like the ideal versus what
I had no
reality is, or because that
I
was
just
the question
thought,
I had
just
as I
thought
was
they were
thinking.
like,
man.
this movie's whack. We're calling
It's
it
just
Brazil.
apparently it's named after the song. That is, I
It's a
don't.
good song.
So was
That
the
is
song written
interesting.
for the film,
But
then,
it's-
or was it already a
I
song?
have
But
no
what,
idea.
what would you call that movie? There's no title. What would you call that movie? 1985. Is that's what you'd call it?
Honestly, I mean,
I
no,
don't
that's
know.
what I was thinking, like Brazil. Why?
Brazil always works though because it's so ludicrous to name a movie just Brazil, that has
But
nothing to do with Brazil.
And then
I
look,
just-
it's got us
just so
talking
good.
about it and wondering why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
But
there is no reason.
I remember starting it and like there's that great shot of the TVs and then it blows up
Mm.
and then
Oh,
it
that
cuts
was
to black and it does the twirl of the Brazil logo and I went
Yeah.
See,
damn
you know how the movie's on Disney Plus?
Yeah.
For some reason, my
Oh.
Disney Plus was just
for Australia.
it was just in Spanish. So I'm watching.
Why was it Spanish?
I'm watching it. I'm like,
Dude.
I'm just like assuming that it was supposed to be. I was watching the scene. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, oh,
I'm not joking. I
this
was
is interesting.
I was 3
and
minutes
then,
in.
and then
I was
and
like,
then
what
the
the
characters
fuck?
start talking, and I'm like, there's no subtitles. I think.
Yeah.
And then I check. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
The fact that
Disney
it's
Plus,
still
they must have just
but
screwed
the
up.
fact that it's still just you can get the message and you're not even like knowing the language is
See,
so good.
I
Yeah,
don't,
yeah,
I don't
it's
have
so-
Disney Plus, so I did watch it on a streaming service.
Well, excuse me. That
Oh wait, no, what streaming service? Huh? No,
Doesn't matter.
but so that didn't happen for me. But that would have been a bit of a wig out.
Oh,
trying to
dude, it
figure
was
out
so
why.
random. I'm sitting
Yeah.
there like, oh, right, it's in Spanish. And because it was called Brazil, I didn't even
Yeah.
question it. I was just like,
But don't they speak Portuguese?
speak
anyway?
Portuguese.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I know, but
I don't
like-
know what Spanish. I don't know what Spanish sounds.
I don't know what Spanish
So to me, it just is like foreign language. I didn't realize
Yeah,
it was a
it's
foreign
not-
language
yeah.
for me, but yeah.
See,
And
because
and then it started talking and I went,
you have the inverse.
that
With,
guy's white.
The thing is that it was dubbed so well.
Yeah.
Like in this, I had no idea.
well, you have the reverse, I guess, with some totally legal streaming services where a film's in a different language
Yeah.
and then it like is supposed to be in English
Yeah.
and it just throws you off. So I can imagine you guys like this.
It was a
movie
fun
is-
way to start. But
Yeah,
there's no
interesting
doubt about
enough as is without trying to watch it originally in another
Yeah.
language.
Mm.
And so, do you guys have much more to say about Brazil? Or
that. No,
can I sum up and lead on to the?
Yeah, we can
The
sum
new
up.
film.
I'm good.
I think
I think
well,
I've said everything I'd like to say.
I
Yeah.
like one thing.
De Niro was amazing. I don't know if we said that.
No.
It was really
He
nice
was
seeing him
so
in a different
little.
sort of role.
Not in it much and just so good. Every
was
time he
How
showed
good's
up-
the scene where he's like taken out from the sewage and he's like put it into the air?
Yeah, that was great.
And their suits just.
Yeah, I-
so-
I just, yeah.
And the noises that Larry's making, he's like, ooh.
And then, yeah, Jill showed up and he went, we should probably leave.
Oh, one thing I do want to talk about the humor. Come on, guys, some of that was amazing.
Yes.
Especially.
Should we spoil the joke?
Oh,
I know what joke you're going
This is-
to
this is-
say. And it's like,
I
when
would
you see it in the
comment,
movie though,
yeah.
it's kind of so good.
I don't think we should then.
Yeah.
If
Because
yeah.
I do want everyone to go watch Brazil for
Yeah.
sure. Like,
Yeah.
I want them to go watch everything.
But it,
really.
it involves just.
There's just this
beautiful
joke.
It
line.
was hilarious.
It's the sort of line that your mother wouldn't like.
No.
You'll understand what we're talking about
kind
when
of
you
line
see
I
it.
want on a t-shirt.
Could you imagine you walk around the city with that?
With Sam Larry's face.
Yeah.
So
I want that.
you'll see us on the podcast next month, guys, wearing one shirt that says this line.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. If we can find it, we'll put it on.
No, if we're not
We'll
going
get
to
it made.
talk about that, then I might just
That's our
summarize.
first merch. Is just.
Oh, we got to do ratings. What
Yeah,
do you
so-
think?
but I'll just summarize with one final point.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty on the nose again. It's be different, be yourself. That's the main thing I took from
Yeah,
Brazil.
definitely.
Yeah.
I think-
Because otherwise you end up in a society
a
like Brazil.
monotonous
Otherwise,
society
you're
where
going
you
to get tortured by
don't
the police.
like what you're
Yeah.
doing. And you hear so many complaints about this in the world today is people don't do what they like.
Yeah.
So that's just that call
Yeah,
out to me a
For
lot.
your goals, I guess.
I was talking
Me
to
working
one
at
of
Coles.
one of our
specifically.
friends. I documentary. There's no point really mentioning his name, I guess, but he was saying that one of his uni like professors or teachers or whatever was complaining about how unfulfilling her casual academic life has been. It's like, you chose that career.
Yeah.
Get a different job.
Yeah.
Be yourself, guys.
Yeah.
You clearly don't want to do it.
So I might start off with my rating here
Yeah.
because I think
Yeah.
mine's going to be the lowest.
Really?
I'd
Okay.
say
Well,
4 out of 5 for me, or 8 out of 10.
okay.
And what were you going, Bowie?
I'm going a 9, bro.
You're on a 9?
Yeah.
See, I'm torn because I'm torn between 8 or a 9. I feel like at the moment I'm actually going to give it an 8.
Okay.
And only because I feel like I need to see it again just with the pacing. And if the pacing is a bit better, then like on the second watch, it'll definitely be a 9. It's like close.
It was
But I'm
time when
gonna
I was
be
watching
conservative.
Brazil
I'm gonna give it
where
a
I
9.
was going, this is one of my favourite movies ever. Like,
do you
in
think
my
it could be?
top-
Do you think it could be a 10 when you watch it again?
Maybe. Yeah, I think if I watch it again and it's like
Because
even
I
better,
gave Fear and
it has to
Loathing
be
a 9.
See, Fear and Loathing is
that
again,
is definitely
Fear and Loathing is something that I think again on rewatch could
Yeah.
become a 10.
I
It's
really
probably
need to
gonna
watch
become a
it.
10
You guys talk
when
about this like
when I
it's
see it again.
the holy grail. I need to watch it.
It kind of is.
It is.
It's absolute gold.
It's just like, and because I've like now read the book, when I think about the movie as well, it's just such a perfect adaptation. It's like literally as close as you can get to the book.
Yeah, my dad always talks about how similar it is.
Yeah,
and just the relationship between Johnny Depp and Hunter S. Thompson.
Yeah, that's why it's also amazing, is because like they were like really good friends, and his acting is like spot on.
Yeah.
It's almost like I didn't realize it was Johnny Depp in the movie until I was like, who's Johnny Depp playing in this movie? And I searched it up. I'm like, what the fuck?
Exactly. In summary, everyone should go watch Terry Gilliam
Yeah.
movies.
He's
Yes.
a genius, bro.
He's made some good stuff.
And on the topic of movies, it's a movie
On the
podcast.
topic of movies, Marlon.
I know.
Thank you.
Who would have thought?
Next month, I'll be recommending the movie Fantasia.
Oh,
David Hand, James
there we
Algar,
go.
came out in 1940. Walt Disney's third feature film. That is what
Okay.
I'll be.
That is
recommending.
interesting. I wouldn't have expected
No.
that. Yeah.
It's an 83-year-old film,
Yeah.
and honestly, it's been on my watch list for ages.
Haven't
Oh, so
seen
you
it.
haven't seen
I've
it?
never seen
I haven't
it.
seen it either.
No, none of us have seen it,
Okay.
so I think that'll be a great point.
I think that's
to,
interesting as well because it's
End
obviously
off with.
animated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
Hand
And
drawn.
we might be able to talk about Disney, like next
Exactly.
episode.
See, I don't
Oh,
have Disney
it's like an
Plus,
hour
so I
range
shot
about
myself
Disney.
in the foot
Yay,
already.
Disney. We love Disney.
We love Disney so much.
Disney sponsor us. We need it.
It's not like we created this podcast just to oppose
Yeah.
Disney. It's just like, stop watching Disney products.
Yeah.
Watch real movies.
Of course, we love Disney. I mean,
Who
who
doesn't?
doesn't?
Yeah.
Who didn't love Ant-Man 3?
Oh god.
Dude, it was
Oh,
Wait.
the Rise of Skywalker.
the longest
Wait, did I hear a podcast dedicated to that movie alone?
whole episode on Ant-Man 3. Well, so Fantasia. So we'll have a new episode next month.
Yep.
Where we will talk about Fantasia, and we'll
Mhm.
also be reviewing a bunch of new movies coming out in March.
Mhm.
If you want to know what those are, you can check our letterbox, which will be in the description.
Yep.
Because
And
I've put those in the watch list. You can go see
You'll-
All
them.
you'll be
links
able to
for our
find it.
socials will be in the description for the
Yeah.
YouTube video of the podcast.
Unless somebody forgets. In which
Yes.
case we'll be reminded. But
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it will be added later. It'll be added at some
Post production,
point,
everybody.
definitely.
Yeah.
yeah. At the end of the day, you'll find it.
You'll
So,
find it.
You'll
Excellent.
find it. You'll go where you need to go.
Well, good stuff.
Well,
I'm
That's
keen.
about it. Yeah.
I hope you all enjoyed our first episode.
Yep.
yeah,
It's
thanks
the
for listening.
inaugural
Yes.
FAPS
Faps.
podcast.
The Film Appreciation
Amazing.
Podcast, guys.
That's
Faps.
That's of course what that is.
Follow
That
our
is what that
socials,
is.
check us out, and have
Yeah.
a lovely time of day wherever you're listening.
Go watch some movies. We'll see you next time.
See ya.